Well, good afternoon, everyone. I am Ken Sasae, President of Japan Institute for International Affairs. Thank you very much for joining us today at this Japan Institute of International Affairs. It is a great honor and pleasure and to welcome Minister Liisa-Ly Pakosta, Minister of Justice and Digital Affairs of Republic of Estonia. Let me briefly introduce our distinguished guests. Minister Pakosta has a strong background in law and public service and played a very important role in shaping Estonia's digital and legal systems over years. She has served as a member of parliament and as Gender Equality and Equal Treatment Commissioner, and has been serving as Minister of Justice and Digital Affairs since 2024. Estonia is, as you know, widely recognized and known as a global leader in digital governance and cyber resilience. Its experience offers valuable insights for many countries, of course, including Japan. We meet today at a time of increasingly uncertainty world. We have many conflicts and battles and so forth. Many of them we see cyber, digital, and so forth. Needless to say, Russia's ongoing war against Ukraine continue to challenge the foundations of the international order. For Estonia, this is a direct and serious security concern, as we understand. For Japan as well, although geographically distant to each other, the implications are significant as we face growing tensions in our own region too. So development in the United States under Trump administrations have also raised important questions about the future of international order. These challenges remind us stability and continuity can no longer be taken for granted. So in this context, today's theme, securing subsea cables and critical infrastructure, is both timely and of great importance from a security point of view. Submarine cables are the backbone of global connectivity. They carry the vast majority of international data and support our economies, governments, and daily lives. For a digital nation like Estonia, and for a highly connected country like Japan, they are truly lifelines. Everybody's life is affected. Nation's life is affected. At the same time, we and they face a wide range of risks. Cooperation between the like-minded partner is therefore very essential. Japan and Estonia share fundamental values, including commitment to a free, open, and secure digital space. I hope today's discussion will further strengthen our own cooperation and deepen our mutual understanding. We have also renowned Japanese authority on the digital security issues, Keio University Professor Motohiro Tsuchiya. Minister Pakosta, once again, we are pleased to have you with us today. We very much look forward to hearing from your keynote address. The floor is yours now, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ambassador Sasae. It's really a great honor for me to be here, and thank you very, very much for this possibility. And I very much agree with you, with your wording, that we are today talking about lifelines. So let me start with a short explanation why undersea cables are really a lifeline, not only for our people, but also for our governance and in growing speed for medicine, education, and defense in Estonia. Estonia is a fully digitalized country. We actually have nearly 100% of all the government services fully digitalized. Basically, only for marriage, you have to go to an office and to show physically that these two people are these two people. But you can do it also via AI-based notarius line, where the AI helps to ensure that these two people are these two people. So, but the physical possibility is still there. For the most of the services, we do not have any duplication in paper. So everything is fully digital. The reason for that has been very simple. Estonia is not a very rich country, but we are a very transparent country. We are very high in anti-corruption, and digital governance helps us to keep that. The digital governance is based on trust. Trust from the people to the government, so that all the people trust their personal data to the government to use for different services. People save a lot of time. People save a lot of energy, and we say that approximately 2% of our gross domestic product is saved with digitalization from the government side. It takes less than a minute to start with a company, to fill in the tax papers, also very short time, because everything is not only digital, but also pre-filled. So the Estonian digital system works in a way that the government databases, we have more than 3,000 different databases. All these databases are connected with each other, but not only with a simple pipeline, but what we call a X-road system. X-road system means that there are basically calculating possibilities in between. So when I'm showing my digital passport, then it is not a digital passport in my mobile phone, but it is gathered through, the data is gathered from different databases. For example, my photo comes from one and other details from another. So each time the document is not ready-made, but it is formed from different databases. And this shows the extreme importance of data flows in the governance of Estonia. We use the same level of digitalization also in medicine, but we also have AI leap at schools. So basically the schools use AI-based curriculums and tools gradually, not all the levels yet, but we take it as a possibility for young people to be not only the world's best users of AI, but also to be the creators of AI possibilities. So even the school education is very dependent on the cable lifelines and internet connections. And of course, Estonia is written into the world history of cybersecurity. At 2007, we were the first country ever to be attacked by another country. And of course, it was Russia. So 2007, Russia attacked the whole Estonian governance system. We could win it, like we won the war against Russia at 1918. But after that, the cybersecurity is very deeply in all the projects we do. Recently, we have seen a new situation. If you put another slide, please. the new situation is that from the full-scale Ukrainian war from 2022, we see a tendency that the vessels that leave the ports from Russian side tend to have anchors in the water and tend to drag these anchors. It's only the vessels that leave from Russian ports, not the other ones. So we see that our cyber defense and the defense is not only now related to classical cyber defense, but we see a hybrid war underseas. And it is totally different from the time before the full-scale Ukrainian war. By the way, I'm very, very thankful to Japan as a country supporting Ukraine and helping Ukraine in this aggression war from Russian side. And we see that the new situation with the cables, undersea cables, has changed actually our digital governments in more broader scale. So let me explain a little bit how we have reacted and what would be the possibilities for future. First, the most simple thing is that when something happens in Estonia in cyber defense, we are quite open. We have always been open about our mistakes that has happened in the digital governance. And that is again because of this trust issue, what I underlined. By the way, the trust issue during the AI era is even more important because when something happens, when something goes wrong, when something stops during the AI era, the trust issue is much more important. And if we look back to the history, there has always been within the communications bad guys that tend to do something against the good guys. Japan is an early doer in the 1884 Paris Undersea Cable Protection Convention, 1884. It was clear already then that good guys have to cooperate. Good guys have to cooperate against the bad ones, because when you have even a telegraph cable, there are bad guys who want to cut it down. The Paris Convention, actually, if legally speaking, this is very good one, and it has been this Article 10 from this Paris Convention, which allows the military to take quite an active part, so to say, politically correct, has been used at least once, 1959, February 26, by USA against a Russian vessel called Novorossiya, who cut several cables, undersea cables. And this is one of the registered events where the Article 10 from the Paris Convention has been used. So the UNCLOS, the United Nations Constitution for Maritime and including undersea cables, this one was a little bit more prepared for secure times, having only fishermen in mind. And we have issues to discuss around UNCLOS, how we can use the existing laws, international laws, for this protection we urgently need. I promise to tell some words what we have changed in our digital governance and protection of undersea cables in Estonia. having this picture, but not only in mind. 2 years, both 2024 and 2025, around Christmas time, the cable cuts have been there. And the last situation was actually 6 cables in 6 days, around Christmas time and New Year's Eve for the beginning of this year. We have several undersea cables around Estonia, and we have also some landlines. All these lines are, by the way, privately owned. So one of the basic lines for the trust in Estonia is also trust between the private sector and the government. The 3 pillars for protection. First, it is that we build up more diversity for our connections. It's not only undersea, we are building new undersea cables, and we are building also new landlines, and we are also building new satellite connections, so that there would be diversity to keep the digital governance, but not only ongoing, digital banking, digital schools, medicine, and defense. We are not thinking only cable-centric anymore, but as said, relating to different possibilities. The second pillar is rapid recovery. We are investing in new possibilities in recovery, but especially with the electricity lines, it is not so easy. We know that Japan is doing magnificent things in this area, and we are very much interested in cooperation and even co-creation in this area. And the third pillar is the legal protection. UNCLOS urges countries to have appropriate legal protection for protection of undersea infrastructure. In our parliament, there is already a bill that has passed first reading, where we dramatically raise the punishments for those who knowingly take down our undersea cables. Having said that, I would like to underline that we very much value, we are a seafaring nation as well. We very much value the freedom to use the sea to navigate and to have all these vessels there. The freedom to navigate is very important for your country and to our country. At the same time, the legal protection should be in place when you have a neighbor like Russia, and when you see the knowingly done, pre-prepared, well-prepared hybrid war attacks, cyber sabotage, calculated anchor dragging. So the deterrence is also one of the areas we are putting our energy in. Very shortly, this is our overview. We have changed our digital governance to keep our digital government ongoing in whatever situations. This is a new way of running a digital state. But having said that, both the cybersecurity and the protection of undersea cables is an area where no nation can do it alone. This is an area where there is very often overspills, and good cooperation with like-minded countries like Japan is extremely important for Estonia. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Minister Pakosta. You have touched on very important elements about undersea digital cable system in terms of actual operational issues as well as legal issues and also the collaboration among the nations. Let me ask Professor Tsuchiya to respond or say words about your presentations, please.
Thank you very much, Sasae-san. Mr. Pakosta, I truly appreciate your remarks after taking a long flight from Estonia to Tokyo. I am researching cybersecurity, so I know how Estonia is advanced in digitalization and cybersecurity. So students of cybersecurity must definitely study the 2007 DDoS attacks in Estonia, which you mentioned. It is my great honor to discuss about cable issues. So first of all, I have visited Taiwan 5 times during the past 12 months. And I visited the Matsu Islands, Penghu Islands, and Kinmen Islands. Those are remote islands of Taiwan. It's very close to, 2 of them are very close to mainland China. And they sometimes lose undersea cables. And the Matsu Island had very serious issues. So they had only 2 cables that connected, but 2 of them were lost in 8 days. So the people on the islands were very, very upset. What's going on? It turns out that Chinese vessel, Chinese fishing boat, seemed to cut those cables. And the Chinese government said, "Oh, sorry, these are accidents, so not intentional sabotage." So how can we do? That was our reaction. And so most of those incidents are happening not in the territorial waters, but in exclusive economic zones. That's a headache of us. In those cases, according to international law, only flag states of those vessels can respond to the incidents. Even if cable connecting Taiwan is lost, it happens in EEZ. The Taiwanese government cannot respond to it. So many of the commercial ships are registered in 3rd countries like Panama, Cuba, the Cook Islands, Belize, or some others. So those governments are usually not interested in deciding something. So there's no other effective way for a victim to respond to cable cuts. So it happened, those kind of things happened in the Baltic Sea, as far as I understand. So then in February 2025, when TPKM3, another cable connection was lost in the territorial waters of Taiwan. It's happened in the territorial waters. The Taiwanese government could seize the cargo and arrested the captain. But the captain didn't explain anything to anyone. And he was sentenced to 3 years. He is now in jail. But this is a very, very exceptional case. I think in the Baltic Sea, the Finnish government captures a vessel and they try to take them in the court, but the Finnish justice system said, no, we don't have any authority to judge those cases. It's quite difficult for a government to respond to those cable cuts legally. Then the Taiwanese government stepped up its countermeasures, revised 7 laws, and can penalize perpetrators more harshly. The Taiwan government made a list of suspected vessels, and so they are tracking the AIS, automatic identification system, signals. So if you do not use an AIS properly around Taiwan, you can be arrested. But if sometimes vessels have fake AIS signals, so they can sometimes switch off. So it's quite difficult to track everything, those suspicious vessels. So we have to respond, but we don't know how to do sometimes. So in Japan, the Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communications, MIC, started a study group on the protection of international submarine cables. As far as I understand, there's no reported case of intentional cuts around Japan yet, but it might happen in the future. So that's why we are worrying about it. And we want to learn from your experience. So then I would like to ask you, Your Excellency, about how you are deterring cable cuts in the Baltic Sea these days. So if you look at your map, those incidents happened in 2004 and 2024 and 25. But this year, as far as I understand, nothing. I don't know. But so you are detailing those suspicious vessels going through the Baltic Sea. As far as I understand, you are coordinating something, patrolling the sea with other governments. How you can do that? What kind of thing you are talking with other governments? And I especially want to know the cost sharing of those patrolling activities. So some countries are interested more, others might not, I don't know. But how you can coordinate those kind of patrolling and dissuading activities of suspicious vessels. And second question is more legal. On January 19th, 2025, the Washington Post in the US released a report titled "Accidents, Not Russian Sabotage, Behind Undersea Cable Damage," officials say. I was so much surprised to read this article. So NATO governments said, so these accidents are not sabotage. Obviously, they are sabotage from my perspective. But the government said, no, they are incidents, no accidents, probably because you don't want to escalate the situation. I don't know. But why you say these are not sabotage? But as far as I understand, I can imagine if you respond to these incidents militarily, so it can be an escalation among Russia and NATO countries. And those incidents are done by civilian vessels, not military vessels, not government vessels. So we are very, very difficult to respond to civilian vessels under third countries' flags. So how did you conclude that? Why you conclude that these are not sabotage? These are two questions from me. Thank you very much.
Minister, you have.
Thank you. So first, as I also underlined in my notice, the cooperation between countries, like-minded countries, is inevitable. Last year, the NATO Baltic Sentry was begun. So we actually cooperate with other NATO countries. And luckily for us, the Baltic Sea is now within the NATO countries because Finland and Sweden have also joined NATO. NATO Baltic Sentry means that our countries have put our forces together to patrol the sea. This kind of deterrence is important to show that it's not only one country, but a bunch of countries who takes it very seriously. The second thing is that the environmental hazard or the environmental costs of the Russian shadow fleet might be even higher than just cutting the cable with dragging the anchor. The Baltic Sea is quite a low sea, which has seen quite many wars. And there is not only the extremely bad technical situation of the shadow fleet, but also the remains from the Second World War underseas that might be of huge environmental impact, bad impact to all the neighboring countries. So it's not only the undersea cable protection issue, but it's also an environmental issue. And what we actually have done with our laws, we have equalized the environmental and the cable cut effects to the same level. It has been very easy for the governments to understand that the environmental impact might be very damaging. The understanding that the undersea cables cut can be as damaging or even more damaging as that is quite a late one. So, but there are very high punishments in place for the environmental part. So this is one of the things that we have been doing besides this cooperation between neighboring countries to really patrol the sea. There is a lot of technical solutions as well with undersea patrol, which I cannot discuss here in detail, but where the technological readiness to monitor is growing within days and months among like-minded countries. And of course, this is one of the areas, again, where I think that we should have a very good cooperation to learn from each other. What do we actually do and what can be done underseas to monitor, but also to repair the cables. You mentioned fake signals. Yes, this is a major issue, not only on the sea, but also for the aviation and also on land. So we see the communication issues on a much broader scale. What we also have taken to the International Telecommunications Organization as a huge problem, because it is really it might affect the lives of the people who take civilian flights, for example, but also those on sea. Now on sabotage and clear information who did that and why. We have actually 3 cases of cable cuts that are in the court procedures. So 3 cable cuts are still at court. There we do not have a final decision. They are investigated by our police prosecutors, and the cases are already in the process. So according to the information exchange we can't say it's a sabotage unless the investigation has shown it. And as said, 3 cases are under investigation. So maybe the information will change. But the statistical information, if we look at the statistical line, it is very hard to say that this is just a coincidence, having such a number of cable cuts in such a short period in comparison with the previous period before the full-scale war in Ukraine. So let's see what the investigation shows. It's the same with the cyber attacks, that it takes quite a few years to find out whether it was organized by another government. We have cases with the international investigations where we have shown that the cyber attacks have very clearly been related to Russian government, but it has taken years to investigate. So also these cases are quite close to us, and as said, free investigations are still being done. So that's a very short answer. The legal one. We are considering, and I will underline here, considering, we are considering for the future that maybe the UNCLOS Article 101, that's the possibility to use this pirate article when it's against property outside of jurisdiction of any states, or there are different possibilities within this article that at least for deterrence it might be used.
Very interesting. To just answer, you have further question on the point? I'm very much interested in the last part of what you said, Minister, the possibility of changing or addressing these legal issues, which is related to outside national jurisdiction, still germane to the national sort of security interests of the country who are suffering and so forth. But in doing so, what are the procedures? I mean, what's your strategy to work over to get more wider national support, I mean, international support, and try to change at least the practice and interpretation of this UNCLOS, or go directly to the change of the article itself? Here is a gentleman who is a legal authority, Ambassador Hayashi, who used to be a member of Supreme Court of this country. You have any opinion about it, Ambassador Hayashi? Were you listening?
Yes. I was taking a memo. But thank you for your presentation. I'm also very much interested in this question of whether to apply the provision related to piracy to this cable cutting, so that there is a kind of what can be called universal jurisdiction can be given to this question. Obviously, when the UNCLOS was formulated, and even it was drafted in '84 and entered into force in the '90s. So that was way before this digitalization of the world took place. So we are now witnessing the very sort of fundamental change in terms of the importance of this the interest to protect submarine cables. I mean, submarine cables, as you mentioned, from 1884 convention, it was deemed important, from many decades ago. But I think it's now becoming of vital importance. I mean, the people can't live without connectivity. And so maybe it's time for us to consider to proceed to the revision of UNCLOS. Well, I think it's probably better than simply expanding the interpretation of piracy into this. although I must admit that considering what's happening in the United States, it may not be so easy to do that. But I think that's an important task, and countries like Estonia or Japan should start probing the ways to proceed forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any comments?
Thank you. I absolutely agree with you, Mr. Hayashi, that the revision would be absolute better version. For better version of timely, it takes years. If we could do the revision in 10 years, we would be very speedy. So we need something today or maybe tomorrow. So the territorial waters, the interest of countries on protecting their people, it is not only the lifeline from the economic perspective, but as said, a lot of medicine is now dependent on communication cables. A lot of transport is connected. In Estonia, we have very cold winters. The heating systems are connected are dependent on information exchange. So we are talking about the lives of people, not only economical threats, but also threats to the lives of our citizens. So the timely situation, where I fully agree, revision is much better than to expand the understanding, but maybe we should do both. We should start with like-minded countries, the revision, and also to find solutions within the existing laws, because to declare that there are no existing laws to protect our people, that is not a suitable solution as well. Thank you.
Okay, Tsuchiya Sensei.
Thank you very much. This is a very, very well coordinated gray zone operation, I think. So we can assume that something wrong is happening, but we cannot prove that who did what. And if I may, I want to ask about the cooperation between Russia and China. So if we look at the case of Ipen 3, broke out in November 2024, the ship came from Russian ports and going through the Baltic Sea and cut the cable, two cable, I think. And it is reported that the Ipen 3, the name is very Chinese name. And so the crew were Chinese, but the captain was Russian. So this is a conspiracy theory on the internet. So the Russian is trying to teach how to cut the cable to Chinese people. I don't know. But so right after that, the cable cuts happened around Taiwan. So we say, so like-minded countries, but they are also like-minded countries. So the conflicts between the two like-minded alliances, conflicts. So, but I'm worrying about the escalation. We do not escalate anymore, right? But how we can dissuade, stop those activities? So they are just testing our responses. If a cable is cut in Estonia, how you respond to it? How the cable is lost in Taiwan, how the Taiwan will respond to it? How about Japan? How about the US? That kind of thing might happen. So I'm worrying about. So how we can coordinate responses among like-minded countries. So Mr. Hayashi said we have to revise the UNCLOS, but you said it takes time. So what can we do today, tomorrow? So that's the urgent policy issue. So if you talk to Prime Minister Takaichi today, tomorrow, what can you propose to reduce the risk of cable cuts? So we are dependent on undersea cables. So we do not want to lose them. But I still don't know what can we do together.
And at this point, this is a very complicated question, where if there is any law regulating and the situations, it's okay. But if there isn't any, the question is, do you create new ones, or you just disregard the validity of law, which cannot really address the issues we are facing with? Then you just deal with those things without much sort of a serious consolation to follow through the law and protect your own legitimate right of the thought. Is that justifiable? Because that is extensions of national right to protect. Right to protect would go beyond the territory. There is this kind of concept in the humanitarian interventions. If there is a necessity to protect the people, you just get in. But that concept is not really legalized as you know it. So this is a very complicated issues. But a country like yours are leading some of the issues as a real sort of front runner. To be faced with this reality. But more or less, as Professor Tsuchiya said, in this theater, I mean, in the Asia Pacific, we also might be facing some of the similar challenges ahead. So there is a common sort of implications of what you experience at this moment. So do you have any other thing to say that what Japan can do, for example?
Thank you. Yeah, let's be absolutely clear that we are not talking about fishermen here. Yeah, we are talking about totally another thing. So, shadow fleet, what do we see on the Baltic Sea? As said, it has many issues, not only the cables cut, but the environmental hazard as well. And as you mentioned, there is quite often a missing documents, or documents are faulty, or they are redone in a mystic way. So there is a list of problems and issues we have with Russian shadow fleet. The first thing is that you can tackle all of them separately. If you don't have an insurance, please, you can't move any longer. So we can go through all these issues. And of course, if something happens, whatever happens, we take very seriously the police investigation. To be good with this type of investigation, this is clearly something that we can cooperate to find new ways to investigate underseas, to investigate all the possible areas. And we have to be better with this investigation. We have to use more modern technology. We have to use more knowledge that we mutually can put together to investigate in a good way. And I very much agree. We can't do anything unless we prove. This is what we believe in, and we will keep on believing that. Why somebody did something, what did, who did, why, and the most important question, why? So if we can't prove why, then we can't go on with any gossip lines, so to say. So the military defense, as exampled with a NATO Baltic sentry, is important, but at the same time, what I very much believe in, that the democratic countries can innovate more than non-democratic countries. My childhood was under Russian occupation, so I have seen the total difference of a life between an occupied non-democratic country and the democratic country, and the innovation possibilities we have in democracies, we have in our countries. That is something we should use, definitely. We can be better. We can find new ways to solve these issues. And now about the laws. We have actually gathered now all the countries, all the democratic countries around Baltic Sea. So the only exemption is Russia. We have gathered to find the common ways to use UNCLOS so that we unify our understanding of different possibilities. And why not to work on a broader scale with this issue, unless we haven't proceeded with a revision to the end, so that we agree with like-minded countries that, yes, we understand this or this article in exactly this way, or it can be used in this way. This is also a way to go forward, to agree with each other how and in which circumstances we could use one or another article from UNCLOS. Because the idea behind this, although it was developed far before internet era even, the idea behind this is that the countries have the right to protect their people, and this is the idea we should fulfill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I'd like to make the floor open, and if there are any comments or questions, please raise your voice or raise your hands. Ochi-san, please.
Thank you, Ambassador Sasae. Saki Ouchi from the Yomiuri Shimbun Japanese newspaper. Madam Minister, I was very relieved to hear your strong statement that in terms of innovation, democratic countries have better hands than non-democratic country. I felt relieved because looking at the war in Ukraine, with the use of AI weapons, it seemed like non-democratic countries may have advantage because they don't have the responsibility of explaining. May I ask your opinion on how you look at the situation with AI? And I feel very worried, as you do, as I guess most people in this room does, about where the United States is going, how international norms, morale is being dragged down by he who shall not be named. And how is it important for the United States to be on our side in terms of tackling with the bad guys? Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, in Estonia, we believe in the power of AI when it's used in a right way. Yeah, of course, we all share that. But we believe that a broad knowledge and also intellectual capacity of what can be created with the help of AI, how to deal with it. We are rapidly investing into the education. As said, we have AI Leap at schools. We start with the AI education from early on, and we use widely AI at our governance as well. But at the same time, we are building the sovereign AI solutions. So we have actually last week, it was in Parliament, our new digital strategy. There are two totally new things. One is the digital sovereignty, and the second is actually the AI usage policy. You mentioned Ukraine. In European Union, we have AI Act, which prohibits usage of AI for killing. And of course, there is a question when our enemy uses it for killing. Should we send ourselves, our husbands, daughters, and sons to the battlefield to be killed by AI? This question is definitely there. At the same time, last year, we already saw, and my colleague has an English language version of our cybersecurity yearbook. Maybe you can send it around if you have it with you at the moment. Last year, we saw the first time when we are not only attacked by the AI components for the cyber attacks, but we last year saw the first time when AI is leading and organizing the cyber attack, which makes it on a totally new level. And we have to change our cyber defense also to a totally new level. So it's not only in Ukraine, we saw it on a broader scale. Yeah, we have to be better. We have to be better in defense as well. So as we see from Ukraine, there are very fast developments for defending themselves from the AI-driven drone attacks. This is magnificent what the engineers are doing. And I think that the pioneering country like Japan in engineering, you can save us. Yeah. You have the knowledge, you have the innovation level. You can save us all with your innovation.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? I have questions from online participants. There are several of that. This question is the similarity between what you face in Europe and what Taiwan is facing now, as Professor Tsuchiya was talking about. The question is, are there any collaboration happening between you and Taiwan on this issue? That's the question.
As said before, if we do not have any proof, it is not possible to draw any direct lines between the similarities, but we can detect geographical similarities of the economic zones, of the dependency on the cables, and also the broader geopolitical perspective, so to say. We work very much internationally in cybersecurity. And I think that the good international cooperation is inevitable because very often the cyber attacks have overspills. The cybersecurity cooperation is very much based on trust. You have to have another government and trust between these two governments, because otherwise you are not open to talk about what has really happened. To keep this trust level, this is the main thing with Estonian cooperation with other countries. Thank you.
Thank you. Related to what you said, there is another question from the online participants. Very much impressed by your comments that digitalization helps prevent corruption in Estonia based upon the trust and transparency. Could you please elaborate further? For example, how it addresses corruption-related risks at 2 points. One, administrator officials administering false data. And two, applicants submitting falsified documents. How do systems like X-Road, the Estonian EID, I don't know what this is, and automated processes like Estonian Tax and Custom Board mitigate these risks? These could also relate to foreign interference. This is a pretty much technical expert questions, which I really don't get, but you get it, right? Okay.
Yeah, it's not so technical actually, because as said, trust is the cornerstone, and trust is not a technical thing. It is something you have in your heart and mind. Without trust, you can't have a digital society. Although it seems to be a technical issue, but it actually is not. Could you open it? Yeah, there's a. I don't know if you see, but I
have a privacy screen on someone.
Oh, you can't see. Okay. So we have a state application in our mobile phones, and everybody can look which government agency has looked at your data, at what second, who from where. So you have a full system of control, and this is in the hands of people. So everything is trackable. Actually, every transfer from the state budget is also trackable. So if you have paper files, let me give you a very simple example. If you have paper files in hospital, you never know who has looked at your data. In Estonia, we know exactly at what second who looked at your, for example, medical data. We have a full control on that. And you can ask, did this person have a legal ground to look at my data? What you never can do if you have only paper files. By the way, we have also found out some cyber attacks because of this full trackability we have. It does not only help to be anti-corruption, but it also helps to be safer in a broader scale. So this trust and the mindset that people have the full control is behind our very low level of corruption indeed. Absolutely everything is trackable, who did what, and did this or that person had a legal ground, but not only. The authentication, yes, as said, everybody has digital ID, and it is related to a state policy that government can look at your data only when the person has a legal ground, a clear legal ground given by a parliament. So every moment when somebody can use your data has to have a clear legal ground from the parliament in an extreme detail version. So again, to build this trust. X-Road is an extremely secure way of data interoperability. I'm sorry to say that, but Ukraine is our best example. X-Road is used by many countries and also by many private companies because of this extreme level of security. And Ukraine is one of the countries who is using X-Road. It's an open source, by the way. And it has stood strong in Ukraine, even despite the enormous cyber attacks from Russian side, but not only, even during the full-scale war. So that's why I say it has a sad reason, but it is a good marketing argument, so to say. And having an ID from the moment a baby is born means that the family is offered a road of proactive services. You get a family doctor, you get the family gets child benefits, you get everything on the moment when the child is born, because the child gets an EID from the moment, and the services start flushing in, so to say. But it is trustable because of the extremely organized legal system, which and extremely organized cybersecurity. So data protection and cybersecurity are for us the same thing. And as was mentioned in the beginning, we have Ministry of Justice and Digital. And this is because of the AI era, when the technology can do everything, but we have to solve the legal questions to keep this trust. And we do not want to become a surveillance government or anything like that. We value the freedoms of our citizens, we value the rights of our citizens, and we value the trust that the people have towards the government. So that's the shortest answer I can give on this issue. But I would like to give, of course, a long, long lecture on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, Lauri Lot from the Ministry of Justice and Digital Affairs, Government CIO. Just to add a short notice to the minister who already explained 99.999%, but about the corruption question too, how digitalization helps to prevent and going back long years, then and even nowadays, computers themselves don't make corruption. Simple as that. People do corruption. And the more we digitalize the process, the more transparency we get into the process, as Minister also already said. And that's the way how to prevent. Because, again, very good example with the medical records, that if there are physical records, we don't know who has seen them. The same with all other transactions. If there is a human element and human, let's say, decision-making inside in the process, when we let's say, where we need transparency, it might not be the most transparent, but everything what we can simplify and automate and then use technology for this process is traceable and trackable, and then that's the most core value, and also helps to prevent corruption.
Okay, any questions? Yes, please, Kobayashi-san.
Thank you very much, Minister. I was waiting for the guest to ask some questions. Kobayashi from JIIA. So after these 3 incidents in 3 consecutive years, you kindly shared with us 3 pillars of policy you are running. So in terms of resilience of critical infrastructure, I understood that you're putting an emphasis on diversification and rapid recovery. But regarding in terms of like protection, apart from monitoring or redundancy of cable, what elements of a broader defense architecture does Estonia consider most important? What are the prioritization in your government? And also, I'd like to understand what sort of changes were made after the previous incidents in terms of chain of command inside the government. Who is leading the decision-making and operations inside your government? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for these very concrete questions. First, the protection issue. We have investigated several possibilities. There is not a golden bullet available because this is something we would like also to study from your experiences in Japan, because there is, it might be better if a cable is like in the mud, but then it is harder to repair it very quickly. there is not possible to build a physical protection because we have 8 undersea cables and we are building more. So the number and the sea miles, it's too much to have any physical protection, and any physical protection would make the repair slower. There is already for years, we have 24/7 monitoring of each of the cables, and we have a cooperation with other countries where the communication is connected to, especially Finland and Sweden. So what we have changed is actually the chain of command to make it quicker. The Navy has the central responsibility, and we have designed the lines up to the notes that we give, that we might give to the public when we rarely have latency or an even worse situation. So we have trained through all the possible situations, but the central point is military, the Navy. Thank you.
Any other questions? You want to say anything? Okay, there is another question coming from the online participant. This is a bit delicate question, so you don't have to answer possibly. But let me introduce. He understands that there is a kind of consistent guard or monitoring against hostile nations, penetration into your country, either in cyberspace, digital space, or whatever. Are there any sort of difference depending on ethnic lines in your country? And this says that there are lots of Russians living in your country. So he is trying to say that there are some more extensive monitoring over Russians, so forth. That's the question.
No, absolutely not. And I have good news. That is what I underlined also beforehand, that democracies serve much better people. The living standard in Estonia is so much higher than in Russia that the Russian-speaking population, even if they have Russian nationality or Russian passport, they are happy with the life in Estonia because of the huge difference in the living standard. So the living standard in democracy is so visibly better that people who live in Estonia support these values that we have. So we do not have these issues because of our high living standard.
Thank you, Minister. That's a wonderful answer. That's what I wanted to hear. Okay. All right. Any other questions? There are a lot of government officials around here. There should be one or two, right? Okay, please, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Minister. My name is Rich Minasu. I'm the Director for Economic Security Division, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Thank you so much for your comprehensive remarks and the presentations. And just wanted to ask you a quick question with respect to the possible better like-minded coordinations. So you've floated some ideas to address the existing norms underlined in the UNCLOS and other kind of old Convention of Paris back in 1884. But there are some other recent calls for better alignment of like-minded countries to address the risks of submarine cuts and also for the better awareness of the protection of it. So are you seeing any sort of kind of growing needs for better alignment by engaging non-European partners on these issues? And if so, what's the kind of best platform you think might be kind of effective to advance this cooperation? I understand, like back in 2024, September, it was under the previous administration of the US, but they called for the New York Principles that where 10, 20 countries got together to discuss the possible principles for the New York Principles for the safety and the resilience of submarine cables. But ever since then, there has been no really kind of tangible, like ongoing discussion among like countries to raise a better awareness. And meanwhile, we are witnessing a growing needs for data, like more data transfer needed in this Indo-Pacific region as well. There are lots of construction procurement projects going on, subsea cables, where one of the kind of not really classic vendors might be seeing a kind of business chance to get into. So there probably we might see a kind of more kind of growing needs to have a kind of more discussion among like-minded countries for raising awareness of those emerging countries as well in the region. But if you are having any sort of discussion with the European community on this theme, that would be appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this question. And the short answer would be yes, of course. Of course, there is a growing need. What I haven't mentioned enough now is International Telecommunications Organization, where we have raised this question, and also we have raised an amendment which was successful. So we are looking for that ITU also would have a broader competence on tackling these issues. And also last year we had a very successful side event on undersea cables together with ITU. So we take it very seriously to use all the international possibilities. And by the way, this is definitely one of the reasons I'm here, to also enhance the cooperation with Japan. So we are within a short time going to sign a new memorandum of understanding on these issues. The European Union is also taking it very seriously. We are very lucky to have a relevant commissioner, Henna Virkkunen, who is a Finnish from background. So from digital part, especially around the Baltic Sea up to Germany, actually it's the affection we see, not only undersea cables, we see also drone incidents, we also see balloon incidents. So this is a little bit broader than just undersea cables, and also the interference of the communication signals affecting the aviation, not only. So this is a very important and growing problem for European Union. European Union is investing already for the quicker repair of the undersea cables, but also especially at the Baltic Sea, but not only. We are looking, but mainly with countries, the Nordic countries, but also with countries around the Mediterranean. What would be the quick ways to interpret UNCLOS in the way that it really would have the deterrence needed? The legal side is not only for solving issues, but it is also for keeping us safe. So this aspect is very important. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? If I may, I do understand that this safety of undersea cable is kind of existential to you, to a country like yours, because all the government systems, all the daily lives are run by all these digital things. So when it comes to national contingency, I don't want to see this happening, but invasions of war, I hear that you could also establish virtual digital government, even though your territory is not safe. How do you do that? I mean, is there any trustworthy place where you could store your data?
Yes, we already have data embassies. As said, we do not have duplications on paper, so everything is digital. And if you think on a normal bank, so like 20 years ago or 30 years ago, they printed out every night the balance sheet. Yeah, they do not do it anymore. They have several places where they have duplicated digital versions. This is exactly how Estonian state works. We have duplicated digital versions. We have data embassies, so-called, for example, in Luxembourg. And now we are working that the main services would be available even if all the territory of Estonia would be occupied, then the digital state will go on. That's the very short answer.
That's great. Yeah. Ambassador,
Well,
Madam.
thank you very much for a very in-depth briefing about it. And you mentioned about 3 periods, and we have already discussed about legal protection and recovery. But I'm interested in the diversification element. And you said that you are not cable-centric anymore. So what are the options for you for diversification? I mean, maybe say satellite and so on. And also, in what pace can you proceed? Because we are so much dependent on the undersea cable at the moment.
The pace is slower than we would like to. That's an honest answer. And we are taking digital sovereignty very seriously now. This is a change, I would say. We have European Union digital sovereignty documents from last year, April. So it has changed quite a lot. The main difference between then and now is that the solution should be fully under our government control, so that there would not be any private company in a third country to have a control on the solution. We, of course, work with international companies and other countries, but the division line is that the full control without any backdoors should be in the hands of Estonian government, so that we could really guarantee to our citizens the services we have promised. We are looking for existing, but I would like to underline, we are looking for new possibilities within not only satellite, but also other possibilities that could be available. And here again, I use this possibility to underline that we are very much looking for innovation in other like-minded countries. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Any other questions and so forth? If none, let me try to, I don't try to summarize them, but let me try to end up saying, talking about the implication to Japan. We learned a lot today through the conversations carried here, especially how this undersea cable could affect the fundamentals of the nation's life. The situation in Baltic could be, I would say, similar to whether it is South China Sea or East China Sea, whatever. Tsuchiya-sensei talk about Taiwan and Strait and vicinity of Taiwan and so forth. So we can't say that same thing could happen. I mean, in this theater, if the incident could take place under the false sort of, endeavor, not a real accident, sort of created accident. And now we are ready. We are prepared to respond to these challenges and continue to be a big question for Japan too. So in that way, I'm really convinced that there are a lot of things we could learn from you. And also, as you said, there could be a much more bilateral collaboration and conversation out of which we could learn more, and even we could support your endeavor from our own end in terms of technology and other industrial strengths of ours. With that, I would like to conclude, and thank you very much for joining this event. Thank you, Minister, once again. Let's give her the round of applause. Thank you. That was
Thank you.
great.
Yeah.